Good evening. Can you feel it? The city is buzzing. With the American League East division now clinched, Blue Jays fans are looking ahead to what they hope will be a long postseason run.
The possibilities and potential for this team to go all the way after they won their division for the first time in a decade. CTV Sean Leathong is live tonight outside Rogers Center. Sean, you were in the Dome last night as the players celebrated.
And what an incredible feeling it was to be on the field and feel what this city has wanted for the past 10 years. But this season itself was a remarkable turnaround. At the end of the 2024 season, the Blue Jays finished last in the American League East. Just 1 year later, they're champions.
A celebration a decade in the making. The Toronto Blue Jays are American League East champions.
It's a very fulfilling feeling because this group is so close. And, you know, it's the first division title in a long time here, so I'm happy for every fan in the city.
Clinching the division at home on the last day of the season is a statement, but not an ending, according to Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
I love this team and I love the city, so I feel so happy to win with this city.
Where do we go from here?
Job is not finished, so we got to keep going and we want to keep winning.
Now that the champagne has dried up, there's a new phrase surrounding this team. We want it all, as fans continue to revel in the excitement.
Absolutely awesome. They deserved it. They worked hard and they ground all season long, got the finish they needed.
Inside the Jays shop, merchandise marking the division champs is going fast.
1, 2, 3, 5, 6 shirts and a hat, bring back to the family, and we're all really excited about the postseason.
Divisional champs. My dad was wearing the one from 2015 last night, so I had to get him a new one.
Got to get it updated, eh?
Yeah.
Many of the fans in here were at yesterday's game, and they came from across Canada, like David and Jim Flather from Winnipeg, who attended their first ever home game.
Unbelievable. We show up for our first game, and there's a grand slam. I mean, what are the odds?
And a drive to deep left field. Gone!
Alejandro Kirk's first inning grand slam would be all the Jays needed yesterday, bringing 42,000 fans to their feet. Two of those fans, 8-year-old Isaac and 11-year-old Alex Fairhurst from Calgary, have a positive outlook for the playoffs.
How far can they go?
Really far.
World Series?
Yep.
What do you think?
World Series as well.
So the road to the World Series starts here on Saturday in the American League Divisional Series. Now, the Jays don't know who they're going to play yet. It'll either be the Boston Red Sox or the New York Yankees. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan and Michelle, send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. Voters in Scarborough have been going to the polls today, casting their ballots in the by-election to fill the seat vacated by former Deputy Mayor Jennifer McKelvey.
There are 20 people running to represent the residents of Ward 25, and that's where we find CTV's Natalie Johnson tonight with the latest. Natalie.
Well, Michelle, Scarborough Rouge Park is a huge ward geographically. It runs along the eastern edge of the city from Steeles all the way down to the lake. And so after 3 months of campaigning up and down that stretch of Scarborough for the 20 candidates vying for that council seat, today it all comes down to this. In Scarborough Rouge Park today, city council candidates were making their case.
Has everybody at the home voted already?
Leaving literature, pounding the pavement, and casting their own ballots, knowing that every vote counts.
Well, the only candidate that's born in this ward, raised in this ward, lives in this ward, it'll be very exciting for me to represent the community that I live and serve.
I think it's incredibly important for voters to have somebody represent them that lives amongst them and, lives with the decisions that they make at City Hall, just like their neighbors.
For some of these candidates, the by-election is about standing up for Scarborough.
Residents want somebody who can get back to City Hall and make City Hall listen to Scarborough. That's the most important thing that we are hearing.
I'm independent, and this ward values its independent voice on council.
Pledging to address the issues they hear about at the door.
Concerns over public safety, concerns over services that need to be improved, especially around things like snow removal.
I knocked at least 15 to 20,000 doors. Number one is transit, frequency of transit. Number two is safety and security.
And give back to the community.
Everything I earned
education, wealth, everything from Scarborough Rouge Park. So I would love to give back to the people.
As for what those people care about,
most of the taxes, really, to tell you the truth. Traffic, traffic jam.
Senior housing. People are going through hard times right now.
It's just feedback from, the people, right?
To get everything fixed in this city that needs repairing.
Casting a ballot to make their voice heard in the race to represent Scarborough Rouge Park. Turnout at the polls does appear to be picking up this hour as more and more residents return home from work. Voting is open until 8 o'clock tonight. The results likely expected in the 9 o'clock hour. Reporting live in Scarborough Rouge Park, I'm Natalie Johnson. Michelle, over to you.
Thank you, Natalie. And just ahead, the Premier suggests speed cameras could stay on city streets, not to catch speedsters, but to be used to track down car thieves and those involved in home invasions. We'll have the latest in moments.
But first, a look at the forecast. Here's a live shot. The sun is setting on another warm, sunny day. And this above seasonal trend will continue tomorrow and the rest of the week as we get close to the end of September and the beginning of a new month. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at how things are now. Lindsay.
Yeah, Nathan, what a nice way to say goodbye to the month of September, a month that I think has been pretty good to us weather-wise. So this is on brand. 25 degrees still at this hour under mainly sunny skies. In fact, you'll struggle to find a cloud out there right now. Winds have been light. They're coming from a southerly direction, so that's assisting with our warm-up. Overnight tonight, clear skies, a forecast low of 13 degrees. Even overnight, we are warmer than normal. Tomorrow might be a degree or two cooler than today, and it will be a little windier, but we remain above seasonal, and we've got mainly sunny skies in the forecast. We'll try to give you an idea of how long this pattern is expected to last. That's coming up. But for now, Nathan, I'm going to send it back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Still to come tonight, the latest in the investigation into the death of a Stouffville man gunned down in the U.S. as his accused killer makes a court appearance.
A 29-year-old man is dead following a crash involving 3 transport trucks on the eastbound 401 in Clarington. This crash happened around 6 this morning near Holt Road. Police say traffic was slowed at the time because of another crash that happened several hours earlier.
Traffic was slowed down and stopped at the time. And that's when a tractor trailer rear-ended a stopped tractor trailer in lane number 3. So that would be the slow lane. And then it continued on the right shoulder, sideswiping a tractor trailer ahead of the one that it was rear-ended. The driver of the tractor trailer that did the rear-ending has been pronounced deceased at scene.
The initial crash occurring on the eastbound 401 at Bowmanville Avenue. 4 people were injured in that crash just after midnight. Police say 2 people have life-threatening injuries and 2 have minor injuries.
Meanwhile, the westbound 401 collector lanes are open again following a crash involving police overnight. Video from the scene near Whites Road shows a vehicle surrounded by several police cruisers. Durham Regional Police say they responded to a robbery call at a business near Kingston Road and Westney in Ajax around 11:45 last night. Police say thousands of dollars worth of goods were stolen. Police arrived as a suspect vehicle was leaving the area. They tracked the vehicle to Whites Road and the 401, where it was stopped. 3 teenage boys were taken into custody, including one who was treated for minor injuries. And Toronto police are looking for the driver of a vehicle which struck a pedestrian in North York this morning. It happened just after 8 near Leslie and Nymark Avenue, just north of Shepherd. Paramedics say the woman who was struck suffered minor injuries. Police are searching for a dark-colored SUV in connection with the incident. If you have any information, please contact police. After saying he wants to get rid of speed cameras, the Premier now says his government is looking at expanding the use of those same cameras.
Not for speed enforcement, but Doug Ford wonders if they could be used to catch suspects in home invasions and car thefts. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has those details.
It was just a few days ago the Premier announced a ban on the use of speed cameras. Now he's wondering if the technology could be repurposed to fight crime like auto theft and home invasions.
There's been 4 home invasions in our small community over the last 10 days, and there's an opportunity only if the community wants it.
Doug Ford also mused about expanding a provincial program that helps local police services pay for CCTV. York Regional Police was awarded $255,000 for 22 more of these cameras last week.
What these cameras do, they pick up a license plate, and if it's a stolen car, it gets immediately reported to the police, the local police.
The Premier's office says all these conversations are just beginning, but the leader of the NDP says what Ford is doing is trying to distract from a lack of a real plan on the economy and job losses.
This Premier is out there eating ice cream and talking nonsense.
Ford ate an ice cream bar during a news conference a few weeks ago and made a crack about ice cream again today. Stiles can't make heads or tails of his approach to cameras.
I think he's throwing, spaghetti at the wall and seeing what's going to stick, and it's all fallen down on everybody's heads. He has no idea. And the reality is that for municipalities, they're all scrambling too, going, what are we supposed to be doing here?
There's no sense right now how quickly a cameras to fight crime plan might come together. The bill to ban the use of speed cameras is expected in a little over a month. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
A busy downtown intersection is now closed for several weeks. Construction is underway to replace aging streetcar tracks at King and Dufferin.
CTV's Janice Golding has more on how that's impacting drivers and those who live and work in the area.
If you live or work near King and Dufferin, these are the sights and sounds you'll be facing for the foreseeable future while the TTC replaces aging streetcar tracks.
It's quite some pain. I have to deliver all the way across and there's no parking.
This is a major intersection. I can't even go get food at lunchtime. You have to walk all the way around.
An inconvenience to some, but to others who already struggle to get around, it's making life a lot more difficult.
A hassle for a while. I got a lot of pain in my back because of a fractured pelvis bone.
Real pain because of a scooter and I need ramps to go up and down.
It's a 6-week job on a major intersection with work slated to take place 24/7 to expedite the process. The TTC says it knows this will be an inconvenience. Still, it says it's doing necessary preventative work to ensure Dufferin and King doesn't face a streetcar derailment like the one just down the road at King and Church a few months ago.
There's curved track, there's straight track, there's switches. They get a good workout. So particularly that curved track, because you can appreciate that when the streetcars are turning on that curved track, they're putting a lot of stress on the system, on the rails.
The TTC says these tracks need to be replaced every 10 to 15 years and likens the work to doing home renovations to ensure longer-term reliability.
Few things are meant to be maintained. Like this is like a preventive maintenance you have to do.
Still, it is going to make getting around on foot or on transit more difficult for the time being, with customers urged to look at the TTC website to figure out new routes.
With 2 little kids going on TTC, that'll add a huge amount of time to where we're trying to go and stuff.
Meanwhile, local businesses are already counting their losses.
Normally 5 to 10 people in the line.
Jigesh Kumar Subway restaurant is normally very busy at lunchtime, but today...
Too much impact on my business.
Are you worried?
Oh yes, of course, how to pay the rent then.
So while track repairs are normal business practice, the work is driving away business for people depending on the foot traffic. Janice Golding, CTV News.
At today's City Executive Committee meeting, funding for housing was at the top of the agenda.
We have been providing shelter to people who arrived to Toronto fleeing violence, war, and persecution. But now the federal government won't pay their bills for the service, and the city is short by $107 million. We can either stop sheltering refugees claimants, leave them on the street, which will make homelessness worse, reversing the progress we made on reducing the number of encampments. Or Torontonians will have to pay for it through their property taxes. Neither is fair.
The mayor addressed the situation facing the city ahead of the meeting this morning. She's calling on the federal government to provide support so the city can assist people who might otherwise end up on the street. Meanwhile, advocates gathered at City Hall to call on the federal government to provide more funding to shelter refugees in the city.
They're hoping to avoid issues the city has faced in years past. CTV's Beth McDonnell has the details.
These are refugee claimants outside a Toronto intake centre in 2023. With shelters full, many had nowhere to go before faith groups stepped up and took them in.
We are not ready to go back to 23. Our community is not ready to take on the work of the federal government. We lost lives Some of our members went bankrupt housing refugees.
The mayor says the city is facing a $107 million shortfall to shelter claimants, and this year it will only receive 26% of the full cost to shelter them from the federal government.
We can either stop sheltering refugees claimants, leave them on the street, which will make homelessness worse, reversing the progress we made on reducing the number of encampments. Or Torontonians will have to pay for it through their property taxes. Neither is fair.
According to Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, the number of claimants in Canada has increased from 64,000 in 2019 to 173,000 in 2024. Most go to Montreal and Toronto. The city says the number of arrivals has stabilized. Still, there are more than 3,400 claimants in the shelter system, nearly 40% of all users.
It was working. So for them to go back and pull the rug underneath, that makes no sense. The best way to support newcomers is to give them wraparound. Housing, wraparound, they are ready to get to work. They are not coming here for a handout. They are here to make their life better.
Reverend Eddie Jumba is concerned the narrative Torontonians could pay higher taxes to cover claimants' housing will cause retaliation. He hopes the federal government decides to come up with the funding instead. He fears having to go back to 2023.
On a daily basis, I had to make a decision, which one of these 5 ladies, which one of these 5 refugees do I let in, and which one do I choose to leave to sleep on the streets.
The city's executive committee has adopted a motion to request the $107 million from Ottawa and ask the provincial and federal governments to increase funding that moves people out of shelters and into permanent housing. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
We're learning more about the shooting death of a Canadian man while on a golf trip to Wisconsin. The suspect, arrested and charged with first-degree reckless homicide, made a court appearance today. CTV's John Venevali-Rao reports.
The accused made a video appearance in a Wisconsin courthouse. 35-year-old Luis Cruz Burgos read his rights using a Spanish interpreter and charged with first-degree reckless homicide in the death of Mike Robinson, who grew up in Stouffville, Ontario, and who'd been on a golfing trip with friends and family when things went horribly wrong. A murder that stunned locals.
I'm shocked. I don't even really know what to say.
This was Robinson last week, celebrating a hole-in-one. Afterwards, he and 3 other men went to celebrate at a bar in Sheboygan, which is north of Milwaukee. A criminal complaint lays out how Robinson and the others tried to get an Uber back to their hotel at around midnight, and failing that, approached Cruz Burgos, a DoorDash driver, for 9 months, and tried to negotiate paying him for a lift. Police obtained surveillance, picking up the sound of their interaction. One man said he wasn't going to give the driver $40 for 5 minutes of work, and they walked away. Another man said Cruz Burgos drove off, but then doubled back. That's when he heard a pop and Robinson say, "I'm dying." The 32-year-old passed away from a single gunshot wound to the chest. His wife gave birth to a baby girl just 6 weeks ago.
My brother was one of a kind, and he touched a lot of people's hearts.
That charge has not been proven yet.
In the criminal complaint, Cruz Burgos claims the men called him stupid, and one of them flipped him off, and he says he didn't shoot anyone. In court, authorities said he has no known criminal record. Upon news of his arrest, the Robinson family issued a statement to local media, expressing our deepest gratitude to the police department for acting swiftly and making the arrest. If convicted, Cruz Burgos could face up to 60 years in prison. Meanwhile, a GoFundMe has been set up to support Robinson's family, which has so far raised almost $250,000. John Venevali-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Ottawa and Ontario offered Canada's last remaining independent steel producer a financial pipeline today.
The loans are intended to help Algoma Steel find new markets and make new products as it tries to pivot to be less reliant on the U.S. CTV's Rachel Aiello reports.
The federal and provincial governments are loaning this Ontario steel plant $500 million.
I think the critical part of it is it gives us the liquidity to pivot our business towards the future of Canada.
The bulk of the financial support, $400 million, is the first to come from a program Ottawa launched in March to help Canadian companies affected by Trump's tariffs. That money and the other $100 million the government of Ontario is lending is to help Algoma afford new equipment and retrain its workers, as the 50% tariff from the United States has effectively closed off what has for decades been a key market for this and other Canadian steelmakers.
If we don't have Canadian-owned steel companies, then we are vulnerable to the whims of other countries, other markets, and we can't have that.
The steel sector has already seen more than 1,000 layoffs since the trade war started.
The prospect of more is growing every day.
Both the minister and the local MPP framed the loan as an investment in Canadian industry.
We are fighting to protect a company that is truly a Canadian institution.
But the federal Conservatives said they'll be scanning the fine print.
Mark Carney is repeating the same Liberal talking points of the last 10 years, claiming that when he borrows and spends, it is an investment.
A federal official told CTV News today that Algoma is so far the only steel company in Canada to apply for this funding. Its CEO estimated today that it could take 18 months to 2 years for Algoma's plans to pivot to a domestic market to fully materialize. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
A group accused of violence and intimidation against Sikh activists in Canada has been listed as a terrorist entity. The designation by the federal government bars Canadians from financing or aiding the India-based Bishnoi gang and allows authorities to seize property and block accounts. Ottawa says the decision will help prevent crime against members of India's diaspora in Canada and assist Canadian security, intelligence, and police agencies.
In New York, Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister addressed the UN General Assembly.
Russia's aggression, attacks on civilians, and abduction of children are flagrant violations of international law. Putin believed Ukraine would fall in 3 days. 3.5 years later, Ukraine still stands, its sovereignty intact, its people unbowed, its courage unbroken. Canada's position is clear. Putin cannot be permitted to redraw boundaries at his will.
Anita Anand says Ukraine is not backing down, but neither are its friends, including Canada. She's also calling on Hamas to release hostages being held in Gaza and Israel to help protect civilians in the territory, as well as open land corridors for humanitarian aid.
In Washington, Donald Trump outlined his plan today for an end to the war between Israel and Hamas.
Under the plan, Arab and Muslim countries have committed, and in writing in many cases, but I actually would take their word for it. The people I mentioned, I'd take their word for it, to demilitarize Gaza, and that's quickly. Decommission the military capabilities of Hamas and all other terror organizations. Do that immediately. And we're relying on the countries that I named and others to deal with Hamas.
The U.S. president detailed the proposal during a joint news conference with Israel's prime minister at the White House. It calls for an immediate end to hostilities and remaining hostages to be released by Hamas. Israeli troops would be withdrawn and an international security force would be deployed. Hamas would be required to decommission its weapons and have no role in administering Gaza. It says it will review the plan in good faith and provide a response.
The world's tallest bridge is now open to traffic, soaring over a massive canyon in southwest China. The Huajiang Grand Canyon Bridge rises 625 meters high. For a point of reference, the CN Tower is 553 meters high. The new bridge stretches nearly 2,900 meters across, and not only is it functional, it's expected to be a tourist destination with a glass observation deck and adventure activities. Its last call after more than 80 years of pints and memories. An iconic downtown Toronto pub is closing its doors. Coming up, the history and what looks to be going in its place.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, no one ever wants to get a flat tire on the side of the road, especially while on vacation. You should know if you rent a car, it may not come with a spare tire. A couple traveling in Europe got a flat, and then they were robbed. I'll have that story. That's just ahead.
Well, the Atlantic hurricane season is becoming more active. We have Hurricane Umberto. It is not threatening to make landfall over North America. It is going to veer out to sea. But we also have Tropical Storm Imelda, and this one is bringing soaking rains to the northern Bahamas right now. It, too, is going to track out to sea. However, we anticipate it will strengthen into a hurricane by tomorrow, and it will pass by Bermuda through the middle of the week. Here at home, we're in for a little bit of a cool down and then a very warm weekend. Details are coming up. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
As car manufacturers try to make vehicles more efficient, many are now removing the spare tire, which can be a surprise if you get a flat.
The car may have a smaller donut-sized tire, but may only come with an inflator kit, which may not be enough to get you going if the tire is badly damaged. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. Well, last month we had a story about a couple traveling in Newfoundland with a rental car. They were left stranded when they got a flat tire. Another couple contacted us to say while driving in Spain, they also got a flat tire, and to make matters worse, they were also robbed. Sally Jerkaba and James Dawson of Oshawa were on a holiday in Spain last fall. They rented a car and stopped to get supplies, but when they went back to their rental, two people were acting suspicious around the vehicle. They got on the highway, and 20 minutes later, they had a flat.
We both looked at each other and said, no one's coming to help. Let's change the tire.
But when they went to get the spare tire out of the trunk, they got a surprise.
He opens the hatch, pulls out all the luggage, lifts up the cover, and there's no tire.
I was frankly shocked. You know, growing up in Canada, we always have a spare tire.
While they were trying to deal with the flat tire, a man came out of long grass on the side of the road claiming he could help.
He was pretending to be a good Samaritan. Someone came out of the culvert, an accomplice of his, opened the door, and grabbed my purse with our passports, all our documents, money, and grabbed James's camera bag.
The couple was left stranded for the next 7 hours. They couldn't get through to Avis, their rental company. We also reached out to Avis, but did not get a response. On the company's website, it says the manufacturer may not have equipped your car with a spare tire. They may provide an inflator and seal kit. You should check the vehicle before you leave with the car.
We had the assumption that there would be a spare tire.
Lisa Glass and Matt Barber of Toronto vacationed in Newfoundland this summer. They rented a car and also got a flat tire. They were shocked to find out the car did not come with a spare.
The last thing anyone wants is to be stuck on the side of a road in a remote area with no cell phone service, with no spare.
Jerkaba and Dawson wanted to share their story, not just to warn about rental cars not having spares, but also to beware of criminals who may give you a flat tire so they can rob you on the side of the road.
It's not worth fighting over camera gear or personal belongings. It's personal safety that matters.
And many drivers now have roadside assistance, so if they get a flat tire, they call for help. Still, if you're renting a car or taking a long road trip, it's good to know what your options are in case you do get a flat. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, looking down the road, we have an epic run of sun, gorgeous weekend. Now we have many more days of gorgeous September and October conditions.
You know, it's almost like I can't even imagine a day not being nice. I'm so used to this.
We're becoming way too used to this, aren't we? Well, I have good news for you. There is more of this on the way. It's good news if you're not wishing for rain. I know some people probably could use a little more precipitation. It's been pretty dry, even with all that wet weather we had last week. This week, no measurable rain
in sight, but a whole lot to enjoy, I think, as well. Here's what it looked like a little bit earlier on today. One of our cameras out in the Port Credit area as the sun was coming up. You may find it's a little cool in the morning hours, but by the afternoon, you can shed those layers and enjoy above seasonal warmth pretty much every day this week. Middle of the week, we are going to be near normal. Average daytime high this time of year is 17 degrees. So keep that in mind because we are going to be well above that at times. Looking at this map, you may be able to make out where the cold front is right now. That is going to impact us tomorrow and into Wednesday. But right now, it is 23 degrees, still very pleasant. We ended up making it to a high of 25. Our record to beat today was 26.7. So we came close. It was a very warm, comfortable day right across the region. But yeah, feeling a little more like late August as opposed to late September. Tonight's overnight low is 13 degrees. That's what we're anticipating under mostly clear skies. Waking up tomorrow morning, light jacket might not be a bad idea, but loads of sunshine. We may see an increase to a mix of sun and cloud as the day goes on. Temperatures in the mid-20s for tomorrow across southwest Ontario. London, for example, might even climb to 27. And around the GTA, we are expecting low 20s, 22, 21 degrees, depending on where you're joining us from. Perhaps slightly cooler as you move north into central parts of Ontario. When it comes to apple picking this week, take your pick of the day. Wednesday, 19 degrees. Thursday, very similar. So still on the warm side of seasonal. Don't get used to that, though, because things warm up for the first weekend of October. Here's our current satellite and radar. We've got some cloud cover essentially stopping at the border. The reason for this? High pressure. It's really acting as a shield. It's keeping any lows from making their way into the lower Great Lakes. There goes the cold front. That one is going to move through dry. Again, we don't have any rain in the short range forecast, but we will see the winds pick up somewhat for tomorrow coming from an easterly direction. So there is that. And then we will be slightly cooler for Wednesday and Thursday. Bit of an increase in cloud cover for your Thursday. 7-day forecast looks like this. So there's Thursday. Let's talk about Friday. Back into sunshine and a high of 24 degrees. Into the weekend, it could get even hotter than that. 26 degrees for Saturday. Many communities are going to be almost 10 degrees warmer than normal for the first weekend of October. And it looks like this trend is going to continue through the weekend and into the early part of next week. It is in the long range, but right now we are forecasting 27 degrees for Monday. That's weather for now. Michelle, over to you.
Keep it coming. Thank you, Lindsay. Also tonight, an overwhelming need in Mississauga. Food banks record the highest number of visits in 1 year. Troubling insights from the annual impact report just ahead.
The inaugural Toronto Climate Week gathering is set to begin on Wednesday, and former Mayor David Miller will be among those addressing the conference.
I think what people can expect is a really rich discussion about what we can actually do to address climate change. We've seen wildfires across this country this summer, for example. People know we need to do something. And the good news is there's a lot that is actually being done and a lot more we can do.
The event will feature conversations about clean technology, energy, investment, and environmental justice. It aims to position Toronto and Canada as a global hub for climate solutions and innovation. Toronto Climate Week runs through October 3rd.
Food banks Mississauga saw more than 500,000 visits last year.
We're seeing that folks using food banks, they're eligible to come once a month, and people used to need to come to a food bank maybe 3 or 5 times in a year between a seasonal contract, when they had an emergency expense. But now, 10, 11 months a year, people are coming to the food bank because the cost of living has become so high that every single month they're needing the help of a charitable organization like us.
The organization says the number represents a 20% increase compared to 2023. Its annual impact report says 28% of visits were made by children, while 39% were from new food bank users.
Construction is complete on a new GO station in Hamilton.
Hamilton and the Niagara region are among the fastest growing areas in Ontario. These investments will not only make it faster and easier for people in Hamilton and Niagara region to get where they're going, but drive economic growth throughout the region.
Building infrastructure like this is important. It's important for connections. It expands our transportation links, as you know. And again, supporting local business, encouraging further investment from the private sector.
Passengers will have access to Confederation GO Station in 4 weeks. Starting October 27th, all existing trains traveling to and from Niagara Falls will stop at the station, which has 148 parking spots and is fully accessible.
Meantime, there are a pair of service disruptions for subway riders to be aware of this week. Service on Line 2 between Ossington and St. George will end at midnight tonight and each day through Friday. That change is because of track work. On Line 1, trains will operate on a single track from Finch West to Shepherd West stations starting at 11 p.m. tonight and running through to Thursday. That's because of structural maintenance. Riders are being told to expect delays of up to 15 minutes. Regular service is scheduled to resume each morning.
An iconic Toronto watering hole has announced it will be closing its doors for good this fall. The Imperial Pub, located just east of Yonge and Dundas, announced that after 81 years, it will turn off its taps in November. According to city planning documents, an application for a 23-story multi-use tower has been approved for the site, just off of Sankofa Square. The pub has been owned by the same family since the 1940s and was originally a hotel. According to the Architectural Conservancy of Ontario, the 9 hotel rooms on the second floor were later turned into a library-themed bar. The Imperial's website says the pub will close its doors November 15th. After the break, back on center court, the Toronto Raptors prepare for training camp and look ahead to the upcoming season as the team shoots at making the playoffs.
Absolutely awesome. They deserved it. They worked hard and they ground all season long, got the finish they needed.
Updating our top stories, baseball fans have their sights set on the postseason after the Toronto Blue Jays clinched the American League East. Yesterday, the team won their division for the first time since 2015. Today, fans were picking up new merch to celebrate the division win and hoping the team can go all the way to the World Series.
Has everybody at the home voted already?
Last-minute efforts to get out the vote are underway as voters in Scarborough, Rouge Park went to the polls in a municipal by-election. The 20 candidates are running to replace former Deputy Mayor Jennifer McKelvey. Voting is open for just over an hour. Polls close at 8 tonight.
This is a major intersection. I can't even go get food at lunchtime. You have to walk all the way around.
And it will be several weeks of traffic tie-ups in the west end of downtown of the intersection of King and Dufferin, which is now closed, while the TTC replaces aging streetcar tracks. Traffic and transit will be diverted during this work. That work is due to take place 24/7 and expected to last 6 weeks.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
TD Bank has unveiled its plan to build back after a money laundering scandal in the U.S. BNN Bloomberg's Marella Fernandez has more.
TD Bank is promising to slash costs and boost revenue under its new CEO. Raymond Chun is looking to deliver $2 to $2.5 billion in annual savings, in part by automating and using artificial intelligence. The bank is also looking to grow its wealth management business and plans to hire 1,200 new advisors in Canada. Another day and another new tariff threat from Donald Trump. He now wants to put a 100% tariff on movies not made in America. There aren't many details, like whether this would only affect movies in theaters or movies that also stream. The CEO of Barrick Mining is out. Mark Bristow had been with the company for 7 years. Mark Hill is the interim chief executive officer. Barrick produces gold and copper, but has struggled to keep some of its mines on target, including its operation in Mali. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 71.83. West Texas Intermediate crude down over $2 to 63.01. Western Canadian Select is up to 53.73, and the TSX shot up to a record close, ending the day 29,971. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marella Fernandez.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Ottawa is urging Canada Post to quickly table a new offer to its striking workers and wants the union to consider any proposal seriously. The strike began Thursday after the government announced changes to the financially troubled Crown Corporation. They include an end to daily mail delivery and moving almost all households to community mailboxes. The jobs minister suggests federal intervention has not been ruled out. An Ontario court hearing today focusing on Hudson Bay's Royal Charter was adjourned after another unsolicited bid emerged. The company says it needs more time to think about its next steps. The retailer wants permission to auction the document that established the company in 1670. Anyone interested will have to bid at least $15 million and agree to donate the charter to a Canadian public institution or museum.
Ontario's minimum wage is set to increase on Wednesday.
The small business sector employs staggering amounts of people, numbers of people in the private sector. And they are the least capitalized. They have the highest failure rates. I'm saying that as a former banker who lent millions of dollars to small businesses some years ago. One only has to look at the stats and see that they employ lots and lots of Canadians, over 50%, but they also have high failure rates. And so a lot of small businesses are hanging on by their fingernails. And so this is obviously wages are a big cost. And so there's always the risk that we're going to tip some of those small businesses into bankruptcy.
A 40-cent increase will see the province's minimum wage jump to $17.60 an hour. Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island are also raising their minimum wages on October 1st.
As the Jays get ready for the postseason, the Raptors are getting ready for the preseason.
The team held its first media availability of the season today, aiming to set expectations for fans. CTV's Rahim Ladani has more.
Good morning, everybody. Missed you guys.
Sharply dressed and all smiles, the Toronto Raptors head coach is already tempering expectations for the team's upcoming season.
My expectations are for our team to improve 1%, to be better every single day, every single week.
After winning just 30 games last season and missing the playoffs for the third consecutive time, the Raptors are hoping for a fresh start. That all begins with Scotty Barnes. He's entering his 5th NBA season and has a message for Raptors fans.
I think our expectations for our team is to definitely make the playoffs. With this team, we got a lot to prove, and we're hungry. And, you know, we're going to go out there each and every single night to try to bring that excitement back to Raptors basketball and, you know, make it enjoyable to watch.
As the Raptors enter this season with a chip on their shoulders, they're also taking stock of another Toronto sports team, the Blue Jays. The Jays have already clinched the postseason. They've exceeded expectations and have this entire city invigorated.
A couple months from now, it's going to be us. You know, that's the mindset. So definitely, obviously, happy for them, cheering for them for sure. And then here, you know, we're trying to get back to the playoffs as well. Trying to get back to the playoffs, make some noise.
Amplifying the Raptors lineup this year will be all-star Brandon Ingram. Toronto acquired the 28-year-old in February, but he hasn't played since last December due to injury. Now he's healthy and is expected to inject the team with his elite scoring ability.
I'm just excited to bring my skill level and make things easier for other guys. Playmaking, scoring the basketball, defense, getting steals, going on the other end and just having fun, you know. It do feel like a fresh start.
The Raptors are now heading to Alberta, where they'll hold training camp in Calgary for the first time in franchise history. They'll then head to Vancouver and play their first preseason game on October 6th. Rahim Ladani, CTV News.
Just ahead, a walk down musical memory lane. Meridian Hall looks back at its 65-year journey and ahead to what the iconic venue has in store.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
A historic performing arts center in Toronto is getting ready to celebrate a major milestone. Meridian Hall marks 65 years this year.
CTV's Jessica Smith has more on the celebration.
Tonight, live from Toronto, first night at the O'Keefe Centre for the Performing Arts.
A staple in the Canadian performance scene and home to iconic shows, Meridian Hall is getting ready to celebrate 65 years.
Well, 65 years for any building, I think is really important. But in this building, it's really, really spectacular. I think when we talk about the performing arts now more than ever before, I think they're super important to bind our communities together.
Opening its doors October 1st, 1960 as the O'Keefe Center, the space has seen many iterations, eventually becoming Meridian Hall in 2019. The performance venue has shifted with the times, accommodating growing audiences and exciting performances.
But now we host so many performances for everyone, so everyone can feel like it's a home for them to come. And I think that's really important today more than ever before for the performing arts.
For Cynthia Stark, an audience member turned usher, this building holds sentimental value. Her parents were at opening night 65 years ago.
Parents were here opening night 1960 for Camelot. And they got backstage autographs and quite the story.
And although it's hard to pick a favorite, Stark does have a few standout moments that stick in her memories.
Oh my gosh. Ballet and opera. And I remember Harry Belafonte. I went to that show. And my first night that I worked here 10 years ago, it was Bob Dylan.
Meridian Hall is a home for the community to connect, support the arts, and showcase epic performances. Heading into the fall and winter, Meridian Hall will host a number of holiday shows and performances, with the plan moving forward to continue entertaining audiences for another 65 years. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
So much history in this city, and look at this sunset. It's glowing, it's gorgeous, but it's a lot darker.
Well, we, working a 6 o'clock newscast, sure notice how dark it is now when we are leaving work. And as early as tomorrow, the sun will be setting at or slightly before 7 p.m. Here's tomorrow at a glance, though. This should sweeten the situation. We are looking at a mostly sunny day tomorrow with a high of 22 degrees. I mentioned that the winds are going to pick up tomorrow. Not anything dramatic, but I do want to point out that those winds are going to be coming out of the east, so that could cool a few communities down at times, but still an above seasonal day. There's the school day forecast, mix of sun and cloud at the very least in the afternoon. And then how about this 7-day? A little cooler for Wednesday and Thursday, but warm for the first weekend of October. Michelle and Nathan.
Thanks, Lindsay. That's it for us, but be sure to join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zarada Alman with your next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here, thanks for watching and have a wonderful night.